Today, we are reading from r/stories about Kevin. If you are new to this subreddit, a Kevin is someone who consistently or greatly shows a complete lack of intelligence through incompetence of social and societal norms, or is purposefully antagonistic in their poor decision making. And remember to like the video and comment a bunch of nonsense if you prefer, and subscribe. If I don't tell you to do these things, no one will do it. Let's get right into it with a story from Chaotic Creation 106 called Superglue Kevin Strikes Again. My best friend can be a bit of a Kevin. He is almost 24 years old and autistic, and because of his disability, his parents used to overshelter him to the point of him barely being able to use a microwave as an adult. Him and his family are working on it, but it's a long process, since Kevin now needs to catch up on skills everyone else has been learning since childhood. Yesterday, Kevin's dad told him to wear sunscreen because he was planning to be outside for most of the day. Kevin put some on. Then he tried to put some on his neighbor's cat because it's walking around in the sun all day too. Kevin got a lecture about why cats don't need sunscreen. Edit. Some cats actually do benefit from wearing pet-safe sunscreen on their ears. I don't own cats, so I had no idea. Yeah, but my guess is that Kevin was slathering the sunscreen all over the cat's fur, which is not necessary. Continuing our story, about half a year ago, Kevin had a series of incidents involving superglue. Everyone assumed he had learned from his mistakes, but part of Kevin's disability is that sometimes he struggles to apply the same rule to a new situation, causing him to repeat the same mistake in a slightly different way. So he recently had another superglue-related Kevin moment. He broke the handle off his dad's favorite coffee mug. But Kevin, now confident in his skills with superglue, decided that he would fix the mug. So he took the bottle of superglue and squeezed. Nothing came out. So Kevin squeezed harder. The superglue exploded out of the bottle. He ignored the glue drops on his hand and squirted some more glue onto the handle. Then he attached it to the mug and held it in place. It took Kevin about a minute to realize that the handle was not only attached to the mug now, but also his hand, and that his hand was also stuck to the tablecloth. His mom had to cut him free. Kevin then asked if he could try to fix the hole in the tablecloth with some superglue. Kevin is now banned from using superglue unsupervised. One of Kevin's other quirks is that he is a literal thinker. If you tell him to do something, he will try to do exactly what you asked. He is not doing it in a malicious way, it's just how his brain works. I remember when I was a kid, I used to read a series of books about a lady who was just like that, maybe you remember. Once, his mom asked him to clean the bathroom, top to bottom. Kevin climbed onto a ladder. His mom asked why. He replied, "You said top to bottom, I'm starting at the top." He scrubbed the light fixture, the vent, and the shelves. The sink remained uncleaned. Another time, he wanted to make a cake. I was helping him, mostly just making sure he doesn't set the kitchen on fire. I told him to wash the dirty pots and bowls he had used. That's exactly what Kevin did. A few minutes later, he told me that he was done. I looked over. "No, you're not." Kevin had cleaned the pots and bowls, but not the dirty spoons or the measuring cup. Why? Because those are neither pots nor bowls. But I didn't figure that out and just told him to clean the rest too. Kevin gave me a confused look, walked over to the kitchen cabinet, took out the clean bowls, and started washing them. Soon after I had to leave, I left Kevin alone, assuming he could finish the cake on his own. The recipe said to let the cake chill. Kevin put it in the freezer overnight. It froze solid. A couple of weeks ago, Kevin was talking to my father when the topic of colorblindness came up. My father is almost totally red-green colorblind. Kevin was concerned. "Wait, but don't you have a driver's license? How do you drive if you can't see the traffic lights?" My father was understandably confused. It took us a while to understand what Kevin meant. "Kevin, did you think anything red or green is completely invisible to people with red-green blindness?" Yeah, that's exactly what he thought. Okay, maybe I will be outing myself as a Kevin myself over here, but I remember when I was younger, I thought that someone who is red-green colorblind literally could not see things with that color. Obviously, I know what it is now, but when I was a kid, I thought that. In this story, it feels a little weird because the guy is talking about the Kevin being autistic and taking things literally. The whole story is about him taking things very literally. I think the only Kevin part of this story is actually the superglue part, which was pretty funny. But yeah, it seems like he's dogging on his disability and dogging on the point that his parents didn't really give him many life skills growing up. I'm autistic, and I was given many life lessons and taught many skills growing up, and I can function as an adult, not just fine, but decently well. I'm up and kicking. I'm doing it. I'm doing my thing. But yeah, the only funny part about this to me is the super glue part. Our next story is by Bootsy Moonshine, and it's called Are We Flying Backwards? So, I'm currently on a flight, and it's been quite a smooth ride. The older woman behind me flags down a flight attendant and is worried. I think the plane has stalled. We aren't moving. The attendant didn't know what to say. She finally responded with, well, it's been a smooth flight with not much turbulence, but rest assured, we are moving. The woman followed up with, well, I think we are flying backwards because I keep seeing us flying by the same lights on the ground. The poor flight attendant stood there for a second before responding with, ma'am, I believe that is physically impossible. But this older woman is concerned. Finally, the flight attendant said she'd go up and ask the pilot if we are flying backwards. She never came back. A couple minutes went by, and a different flight attendant came around, and she asked again if we are flying backwards because the lights. She insisted. We kept going over and over again. As I'm sure this is not a question they get asked often, he didn't quite know how to respond. He did a quick, no, I don't believe so, and kept it moving. For now, she's been appeased. Doesn't sound like it, but I will update if she tries storming the cockpit for answers. I think the old lady thinks she's in a helicopter. Our next story is by Purple Birdie Lady 623. Kevina thinks her dollar is worth $4. Hi, first time poster here. I don't really know if this counts, but I'd figure I'd post it. I, 29 female, work the graveyard shift at a local gas station. A blonde-haired Kevina walks in. A Kevina is a girl, Kevin. She grabs a small pack of Oreos that's worth about $2.50 and then comes back up to the counter and tries to pay for it with a crisp $1 bill. She claimed that apparently she read somewhere that $1 bills are actually worth $4. I told her that was not true, and I needed an additional $1.50. She kept insisting that it was worth $4 and that she had enough. She eventually relented and scrounged for some change to pay for her Oreos. I know some older dollar bills can be worth a lot, but this is a brand new $1 bill. There was no way it was worth more than one. And for that matter, why the heck would you spend it at a gas station of all places? I don't think that this Kavina was thinking, oh, this $1 bill has value to collectors. I just think she probably wasn't having a good day in the upstairs today. It does remind me of a story of my childhood, though. When I was younger and the family would play Monopoly, you'd get all these bills, you know, you're collecting them up, you're collecting up your money here, and with time, you've collected a lot of small bills. They need to go to the bank and get transferred into bigger bills. But my little sister, because my dad would be like, hey, we're running out of money. I need to take some bills and I'm going to give you, exchange them at the bank, consolidate them. You know, if you have a bunch of, if you got 520s, you're going to get 100. There you go. And she would freak out and was not happy about it because every time 5 bills, 5 money units were taken from her and she was given 1 in return, she had obviously just lost a ton of money. And she hated it. She always would get so mad that her money was getting stolen. And I don't really know why she kept playing if she thought she was actually being robbed, but maybe she saw everyone else getting robbed too and figured maybe it's fair. To be fair, she was very young at the time and quickly learned that that wasn't the case, but it was funny while it lasted. This one is by Twin Mom 823. My son might be a Kevin. I have long thought that my youngest might be a Kevin. We've had to explain to him that simply washing your hair and allowing the shampoo to run down your body isn't the proper way to wash up. Oh my gosh, yeah, I remember being younger and thinking that like you just you wash your hair, you wash choice areas, and you just let the water run, take care of the rest. And of course, I'm using like 18-in-1 shampoo or whatever, or 18-in-1 shower soap, whatever you'd call it. But of course, now I've got 2 different shampoos, a lightweight conditioner, a face wash and a body wash and all sorts of different things, because staying clean is actually important and takes a lot of work, especially as you get old and sweaty and gross. Anyway, we've had multiple conversations about remembering to lift the lid on the toilet seat before doing your business. Is bro just sitting on the lid and just... That's disgusting. We've had to remind him to look both ways in parking lots because he thought it only applied to crossing streets. Yesterday, though, I got confirmation that he is, in fact, a Kevin. My condolences. But also, how old is this kid? Because some of these things, like, are very normal for if you're, like, 2, you know? But... yeah, you know, you got to teach kids, like, cars are always out to get you. But yeah, it depends on his age, I think, a little bit. But let's see if we find out more information. After work yesterday, my son met me at the door. He told me he had really exciting news to share. He has a girlfriend. Bro's got more game than me. Gosh. He's only in 6th grade, and this is his first girlfriend. Oh, okay, so he's in 6th grade. How old is somebody in 6th grade? Okay, so he's 11 to 12 years old. Okay, that's starting to get a little too old to justify some of this. Okay, so he's in 6th grade, and this is his first girlfriend. I asked some questions about her and asked what her name was. He does not know her name. Okay, I was on a first date once. It was a bowling date, and I went and sat down. Like, obviously, it's not that I never had seen this person's name. I met them on a dating app, and we set up this date, and I just have terrible memory, especially with remembering people's names. I cannot remember people's names until I've heard it about 100 times. And I sit down where you type in the names of people, and then I just blanked. Yeah, I could not remember her name. I like make a point to try to remember people's names, especially when going on a date, but then I blanked, and I very embarrassingly asked her what her name was and apologized for forgetting and just said, I am terrible at remembering names. And she nervously laughed, told me her name. And yeah, there was not another date after that. Quite obviously, she immediately went home and blocked me after that, which that's the case with most first dates I've gone on. But that one I was not surprised. Anyway, he's been eating lunch with this girl for the last month, has learned enough about her to know he wanted her to be his girlfriend, but never bothered to ask her name. Okay, my question at this point is, does she even know that he thinks she's his girlfriend? I have a feeling she just exists, and he has decided to crown her his girlfriend without talking to her about it. That's just my theory. So we came up with a plan for him to ask for her phone number today. 11 or 12-year-old with a phone number? This is crazy times, isn't it? And we would ask her how she spells her name so he can put it in his phone after school. Kid's 12 with a phone? Goodness. I just pray her name isn't something simple like Kim or Jill. No, in this generation, it's going to be like Michaeli Kinslaya or whatever, like spelled with 17 extra letters. Update. We have a name. He introduced the girlfriend to his sister today at school, and she asked. She actually did him a solid. She said, wait, what's your name? Oh, you're the girl he's had a crush on since the first day. Man, what are kids doing 11 or 12 years old with girlfriends and boyfriends? When I was that age, that wasn't even something on my mind. And when I was a teenager, it was like, yeah, definitely still off the table. Yeah, wasn't until I was into adulthood before I started dating, and what a mistake that was. All right, our next story is from AU Spartan 37. Kevin doesn't understand how movies work. It was suggested that I post this here from another thread. Thought y'all would appreciate it. We were watching the Leonardo DiCaprio adaptation of Romeo and Juliet in the English class that I teach. Before we started, I explained what an adaptation is, and the whole activity was for them to compare and contrast the play, which we had just finished reading, with the film. On the second day of watching, one student sits up and blurts out, "Wait, is that Leonardo DiCaprio?" I said, yes. I can see the gears trying to turn inside of his head. After a second of what could only be described as thinking, he said, "How is that possible?" I said, "What do you mean?" He looked super confused and proclaimed, "I thought you said the play was written in the 1500s." I was flabbergasted. Not sure where to begin, I tried to explain. When I said, "This movie was filmed in the 90s and is a modern adaptation of the play," he said, "But it was written in the 1500s. How is that possible?" He was dead serious. There is so much to unpack here. Turns out he had never considered how movies worked. He was confused that it was Leonardo DiCaprio and not Romeo, and that Leo was still alive after being in the play in the 1500s. It wasn't the guns, cars, helicopters, and TVs that revealed this to him, although he confessed that it was confusing him as well, but only after I pointed it out. He hadn't noticed before. He couldn't wrap his mind around how something could be written in the past and then made into a movie hundreds of years later. He didn't know the play was fiction, and he thought the movie was the actual events being filmed like a documentary. When I tried to explain, I realized this kid was so dim that there wasn't even a place to begin. Does he realize movies are fake? Does he think all movies are just real events? Does he know the Middle Ages didn't have electricity, cars, and helicopters? How old does he think Leonardo is? Was this his first ever thought? Man, this teacher is just going crazy on this poor kid. Yeah, it's definitely, you should definitely, by the age of whatever, man, how old is this kid? Anyway, if they're doing Romeo and Juliet something, definitely old enough that they should know. It reminds me of that joke of like the person who's like doesn't know anything about movies, like the hillbilly coming watching his first movie in the 50s. He goes to the motion picture theater, and then the movie character dies in the movie, and he's just like, "Oh my gosh, that's crazy, they killed the actor for real." It's kind of got that vibe to it. Next, we have a story from Most Moist Aardvark. My best friend is marrying a Kevin. This Kevin, 28 male, has been dating my best friend, 25 female, for going on 7 years now. Oh, hold up. It's math time. Okay. Oh my gosh, I just got invited to a birthday party. Anyway, I am getting distracted. 25 minus 7. Okay, this isn't anything too crazy. So he would have been 21 and she would have been 18. So, you can get away with it this time. One time, when I was at their apartment, which they've lived in together for years, she asked him to empty the dishwasher. He asked her, "Where do the bowls go?" Bro's lived here for years and doesn't know where the bowls go? Goodness. When she asked Kevin to feed their dog, that they've had for 5 years, by the way, he asked her where the dog food is. It's in a 20-gallon bag in their pantry. You can't miss it. So either this guy's stupid or he just literally never helps with chores. She's been asking Kevin for years to propose to her. She picked out the ring, his parents paid for it, and she told him when to give it to her. So she's just orchestrating everything, goodness. She's been asking Kevin for years. Oh, I just read that. Pretty soon I'm going to be in this subreddit, aren't I? Once, she asked Kevin to take their dog out to pee, and he said he couldn't do it alone. He is 28 years old. The dog is a sweet baby who likes naps and belly rubs. Bro threw in a fun fact there. Nice. Also, is he like afraid of going outside? Like, that's a very one-person job, bro. When she had the flu, she asked Kevin to make her pasta. Kevin said that he can't make pasta. She asked him to make her toast instead. Kevin also can't make toast. All right, I'm not a good cook, but I have been able to figure out how to make pasta. It's like one of the easiest things to do, especially if you get pasta sauce at the store and you just boil the noodles. It is like you'd have to really mess up pasta. And toast, you just have a machine that does it for you. I don't know what the problem with that is. Kevin's primary chore in their shared apartment is to take out the recycling. Their living room is full of months worth of recycling. It stinks too because Kevin thinks dirty pizza boxes can be recycled. So his chore is just to take out recycling. Like, she takes out the trash and just gives him the recycling. So he's not on trash duty. He's on do nothing duty, apparently. Once, I asked Kevin and my friend out for drinks for Christmas. Kevin only cheersed my friend's glass because I'm too scary. Once, Kevin ordered a $24 cocktail at a fancy bar. $24 for one drink? Maybe I don't get out much, but that sounds ridiculous to me, but... Anyway, he didn't like this super expensive drink, so he pouted about it the whole night and ruined my friend's birthday party. Man, you know how many times I've ordered something I hated or had my day go terribly wrong But then when I go see other people, yeah, I might be like, this sucks. This is gross. And then laugh about it and try to move on, at least for the sake of other people, but even for myself, because I don't want to be dwelling on that, because that's just going to ruin my day even more. My day today was awful. I had, today did not go well for me, but I'm trying not to think about it. I'm not going to ruin the whole video for you, you know? Anyway, one time at my birthday party, we went wine tasting as planned, weeks in advance. Kevin pouted in the car the whole time and stressed my best friend out because he doesn't like wine. Okay, fair. I don't like wine either, but why are you pouting? And also, if it's wine tasting, either one, go along for the ride, spend time with friends, and don't taste any wine. Or two, it's tasting. Maybe you'll find something you like. Kevin and my friend are having a black tie wedding. She is wearing a $3,000 traditional white wedding dress. Kevin plans to wear his Converse high tops. Okay, to be fair, sometimes wearing your own shoes or like your own vibe of shoes, that's totally fine at your wedding. Like, that's cool. But, you know, if the bride's not into that, then I don't know. But maybe she is. She's marrying this guy. Now, I don't think this is a Kevin. I think this is in the wrong spot. I think this is a man-child, which I think is different from a Kevin. A Kevin can be a man-child, and usually is, but not all Kevins are man-child, if this makes sense. This guy just sounds like a little baby. Little baby in the head. It's very annoying. I got mad just reading this. This poor lady, what does she see? I'm very sorry. This poor lady, what does she see in this man? This boy. Top comment says, yeah, and when they get married, he will forget their anniversary. When they have kids, which I'm sure they will have quite a lot of, unfortunately, he won't know how to change diapers, get up for midnight feeding, feed, bathe, clothe, at any time, at any stage. Any plans will be made and executed by her. He will never make any effort. Yeah, because he's a man baby, just like I said, man child. This goes from planning a meal to planning a vacation. Zero help and support from this guy. Tell your friend, get out now. Get out while you can. Get out before the wedding. Maybe she sees it, but she's waiting for someone else to validate it. Very good insight there. Maybe she has low self-esteem and thinks this is all she's got. Maybe she just feels loved sometimes. This guy, though, she can't be happy with him, though, because there's no way he's serving her in any way. And what is he giving other than existing? He's alive, we think. Although that's to be determined after reading this. Goodness, he doesn't do anything. This one is by Forever in Her Eyes. My ex-friend was a Kevin of the highest order. Well, now that they're your ex-friend, sounds like they Kevined a little too close to the sun. For context, he's a friend I had in high school. I didn't know him too long, but when I did, here are some of the things he got up to. He wanted to be a singer. He practiced singing with noise-canceling headphones on, and then complained when other people told him he wasn't very good. Which was a generous compliment in my opinion. He was tone deaf and awful. He was on various dating apps throughout his high school career, which is illegal by the way, he's a minor, claiming to be 25 and trying to get with women over 40. Wow. He got 0 matches. Anyway, when he turned 18, he made a true profile and set his age preference to any. He still got 0 matches. He may be a Kevin, but that's relatable. One time I looked at the aforementioned dating profile for him, and his bio was just kind of a rant about how he didn't understand why no one would give him the old college try. What does that even mean? I've never heard anything like that before. That's strange. He burned most of his hair off one time. Man, I hate reading these because a lot of these things are things I've done. Like, I'm terrible at remembering names. And I burned half my hair off once in a propane accident when I was 14. Anyway, he burned most of his hair off one time. He didn't realizing that lighting matches and holding them near his head would cause that. Oh, so he just lit his hair on fire with a match. Okay, I feel a little better because mine was a propane explosion, and yeah, it was a mess. Anyway, he wasn't injured, but you'd think he was with the amount of whining he did about having to shave his head. When asked why he had the matches near his head in the first place, he claimed he was trying to hear the fire. So he's just like, Wonderful. He wanted to be in the army because he wanted to come home a war hero. I asked him what he thought happened in the military, and he said, "Don't you just go and shoot guns and stuff?" His Instagram page was if a 12-year-old girl's diary and a 13-year-old boy pretending to be a psychopath on the internet had a child. It was cringe, clearly full of outrageous lies, and he seemingly had issues with basically everyone in his grade. He didn't, however, know these people's names, so he'd try to describe them, but not very well. He wanted to be an artist, but he couldn't draw. He used to pitch me ideas he thought were genius of what to draw and try to get me to do it. I also can't draw, which I told him many times. Even if I could, I wouldn't waste my time drawing sexy sharks. He called leopards lepers. He spelled it right, but he would insist it was pronounced lepers. He did not have a speech impediment or anything. He was just convinced the D was silent. Even Google could not convince him. He insisted to everybody that he was going to go to our local university. He was in the lowest level of classes in everything but history, but that was because there was no lowest level history. Don't know how that works, but okay. He failed history 3 times. I don't know how he finally passed. They probably are just trying to get him out of there, really. I have many more, but my favorite of all the things he did was he fell out of a tree on purpose to break his arm so he wouldn't have to write his exams one year. He did it and happily fractured his left wrist. Reader, Kevin is right-handed. And finally, friends, with that story, we have encountered a true, by every definition, I hit something on my keyboard. We have encountered a true, by definition, Kevin, and what a wonderful Kevin it was. And we're gonna do one more. This one is by Worried Car 2055. My coworker microwaved a fork and confidently blamed the electricity spirit. So there's this dude at work who's like accidentally chaotic. Today he microwaved his lunch without realizing he left a whole metal fork in the container. The fork goes in the microwave. We all know where this is going. The microwave, of course, started sparking like it was trying to summon a demon. It was summoning plasma, but actually, we all yelled at him to stop it, and he literally said, "Oh wow, the electricity spirit is angry today." Bro, the electricity spirit? He was dead serious too. He then asked if we needed to perform a reset ritual, and by that he meant unplug the microwave and plug it back in. No, you just need to turn it off and stop putting metal in there, it'll be fine. He said it like he was about to cleanse the office with sage. Management had to sit him down and explain how microwaves worked. He nodded the whole time like he was learning ancient forbidden knowledge. I swear this man is one solid brain cell away from starting a cult by accident. All right, if we're gonna do a Kevin scale of 1 to 10, then I might give this Kevin maybe a 5 or 6. Like, adults know you don't put metal in the microwave. You learn that when you're a little kid, you know. I hope. All right, then, you've made it to the end of the video. I am too unpopular for sponsors, so I'm sure you're happy about that. And again, remember to like the video, because if you don't, then I won't make another one for you. You'll be very sad. I need to turn the air conditioning back on because it is hot in here. Oh, good